I'm Meagan Black here, a new seasoner gardener this year. This is Dean. Today we're going to be talking to you about the entryway garden because we'll be working on re-establishing the Piet Oudolf garden starting probably next week. So we just wanted to start off by saying a big thank you to all of the donors that helped us to be able to get to this point. And as a new gardener here, I'm looking to learn a bit more about what Piet Oudolf's vision was here for this garden. So I'm going to be asking Dean some questions and learning a bit from his knowledge and experience.
So yes, we'll be starting it in a couple weeks, that's for sure. And Meagan, you started reading the book. Did that, his most recent book from 2 years ago, did that raise any questions for you before we get started?
I guess I was just wondering, as a general question, what was the original vision that he had for this garden space?
Well, the original vision of the garden space, I believe with all of it is, and he touches upon it in the book, is that yes, he does do prairie planting, but it is a very colorful prairie planting. And when you actually start looking at the design itself, there isn't a lot of grasses. There is clumps of grasses for winter interest and texture changes, but it is a lot of different flowering plant material that will give you a season bloom from early spring all the way to the end of the season. He also, thankfully, as we get moving, as you have noticed since you've been here, he wasn't shying away from using native plants in his design, and I believe this was his first design in North America that he did. So he definitely did not shy away from them, and last year we we planted over 70 different plants of Monarda, bee-balm. We also put in back into the ground a lot of echinacea, which is great for pollinators, it's great for the birds and the feeding and the eating, whether it's native or not, or a cultivar is a debate for a different time. We also reestablished with a lot of transplanting pieweed around and back into the garden space. We also did a lot of transplanting of your fall blooming asters back into the different garden spaces. We're putting in a lot of liatris back into the garden space, because in certain areas, as we're getting to it, he intermixed the liatris with the linoleum for your increased season of bloom. Now that I'm at the linoleum, I do believe in the book he might have said, and I could be wrong on this, that linoleum is a winter interest plant over in England and Europe, and that's one of the other changes that he's done a little differently that he's realized and talks about in the book. The winters here, he realizes, are a lot different than in England and in Holland. So he realizes that Amasonia is a great winter interest plant there, not so much here. So while it's native to certain areas in the U.S., Amasonia will be cutting it down after it's done its fall colors. This will allow us to put in some more bulbs, which is never a bad thing. But yeah, definitely lots of color. We put in a lot of echinacea too. We established a lot of echinacea back into the ground garden space last year as well, which is great for pollinators. In this case, the stuff that we just planted last fall, we're not going to do much deadheading because we want some seeding to bulk up the areas, and that's why we haven't touched the echinacea here yet. We want it to seed itself a little bit, and control itself, to bulk itself up. But yeah, but we are doing some deadheading, and there'll be another video, I think, shortly about the rhymes and reasons and the do's and don'ts on deadheading. But he definitely does like deadheading. As we get into the shrubs, and you see the Amorphous canonensis there, that is filled in greatly, and you'll see some smoke bushes, some pectinus, and various lilacs. He also made it very clear and realized and this is a process we're starting through rejuvenation, that similar to a meadow or a prairie or a field, you can't have big shrubs and trees in it, so we definitely have to get them a little bit smaller and a lot smaller contained, and that's what we've been started doing with our rejuvenation pruning in March in the dormant season, and we'll keep that going as well. Just a way of also making your shrubs happier, younger, and blooming longer, more aggressive, bigger, longer, lasting longer blooms. So we'll just continue to do that. He also used a lot of different, couple different species of cultivars of milkweed as well, which is great. And I just want to stop now and point this out as we see some native pollinators going at this non-native plant. I just want to point out that there's a lot of great plants in here that might not be native, but definitely all the native pollinators do enjoy them, from the butterflies to all your various species of bees, as we're filming now.
And what kind of work needs to be done here in order to get it back to what was the original vision?
So I coined it last year as it's a great question, as the Great Shuffle, and it's something that you're going to get full witness to, and it's going to get a little overwhelming, because as we pull something out of this section, then we want to retransplant that into the right section it belongs. So that's where the Great Shuffle starts, because we have to then dig out where that goes. We have to pull out something or put that in the ground. So that's where we do order the plants, but we do thank the donors for all the great help that they're giving. But I just want to make it apparent, very obvious, that we do reuse the plants that we are using in other spots in the entry garden, for sure. Another great plant here, Calamintha, that's not native, but you can just see all the native, bees going on it. So again, and in this area here, there's supposed to be some leadwort, some Amorphous canonensis that will be blooming in, again, sending the bloom season, because Amorphous canonensis blooms late spring. Calamintha is very long lasting in blooming time. So, and as we get down here, as you can see, he definitely didn't shy away from his natives, and his Joe Pieweed is definitely a native, and you'll see some bumblebees and other native pollinators added. And we'll get to the deadheading, but in a minute. But definitely want to keep control of Joe Pieweed. He does get out of control if you're not careful. But yeah, it was clear to us and to me, and it'll become clearer, I'm sure, as you start doing work, that he was interested in continuous seasonal bloom, which is why sometimes he interplanted things, and also was echoing it for flow and natural eye flow and design. So it will be a lot of work, and it gets a little stressful with the shuffle, but it's very rewarding once you see it all done.
Yeah, I'm excited to get working on it. It'll be a big project.
Yes, yes, it is. It's a little more physical removing, and then the easy part is the planting. But thankfully, a lot of the grasses got removed, and a lot of the more aggressive areas in this section, anyways, was accomplished. And this is where hopefully we'll continue on this area here, the main entrance to the entry garden. But it will all be based on plant material that's available at the various nurseries at the moment. So, yeah. Any other questions or?
When do you think we'll be anticipating that the work will be finished?
That's going to be a multi-year program, just with the way how busy we are with everything else, and it all depends on how much donor money we are able to raise. Probably at least another 3 or 4 years. We have the whole section as we're walking towards the Annie Shed and wrapping around Lawrence yet to start. We haven't really started that area, and that's an area that needs a lot of work over there. We've been mostly concentrating in this area as it gets the most eyeballs, but I'd say at least 2 or 3 more years at least. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think that really helps me to kind of get an idea of what we're going to be doing here. I hope it was informative to everyone else at home too.
Well, thank you, and if you have any other questions, feel free to ask it.